Howdy, howdy, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for coming and listening to us.
Welcome to our latest interview, everybody. Today, we have an old friend back in the studio, somebody who's been part of the soundtrack of our lives for a couple of decades, J.R. Richards. He began his career as the lead singer, guitarist, and songwriter for the iconic alternative rock band Dishwalla. The band's debut album, Pet Your Friends, dropped in 1995, and it didn't take long for them to make waves. In 1996, the Richards penned Counting Blue Cars hit #1, earning J.R. a Billboard Music Award for Top Mainstream Rock Track of the Year.
But that was just the beginning. JR's been producing music since the 90s, not only for Dishwalla, but also for his own solo projects and a slew of TV shows. You've heard his work on series like One Tree Hill, How I Met Your Mother, and Criminal Minds. And he even contributed 20 songs to the reboot of Baywatch in 2017. Now JR is gearing up to release his 10th studio album, My Darkest Hour, expected later this month. So we were thrilled to sit down and talk about it, along with his journey through music and all the incredible milestones along the way.
All right, let's dive into this conversation with J.R. Richards.
Hello, JR.
Well, hello.
We did a lot of shtick together with Mark and Brian and Party at the Pier. I remember that big event with like 10,000 people on the Santa Monica Pier.
That was such an amazing show.
That was so fun. And then everybody that went got to ride the rides. And I don't think they gave up the games, but they gave up the rides and they got to see you guys play for, what, like an hour and a half or so? It was amazing. Fun time.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a full rock event. That was really well done.
And it was free. I like free events. Not that it didn't help you guys, but you know, from a radio standpoint, it was always nice to give back to the listeners.
Yeah. Well, it was just nice to see a lot of people standing in front of a band on a stage and listening and enjoying themselves. I mean, that's really what it's all about. So, yeah.
So indeed. We had so many magical moments with you, courtesy of you and Dishwalla. Like Mark and Brian Christmas shows and everything like that. I remember the first time I heard the song, the A&M reps came by. I heard that song, Counting Blue Cars, and I just went, wow.
I love that.
That's just, I got chills hearing it. And I remember Jim Ladd had just been rehired, and I remember talking to him about that song. I go, you're going to love mixing that song in with some of your sets and stuff like that. So we have this long association and friendship, and I thank you for that. And you know, you're different these days because you're solo artist now, and you've kind of reinvented your life as a musician. The last time I saw you, CW wasn't there because
I missed the party.
But it was at
Ted and Sue's
house, and it was just such a magical event in Ted's backyard. You know, seeing people that I hadn't seen in a long time. I mean, it's COVID and jobs change. And then when you get around people that you haven't seen in a long time, it just is a wonderful feeling. And to have your music accompany that event was just wonderful. It was just, I can't tell you how grateful I am for the invite from Ted and for your participation in that.
I had a wonderful time, and I was kind of surprised when Ted had reached out, and then I was like, oh, that'd be great. I'd love to see you come, because that's one of these things that you've been talking about in terms of kind of reinventing how you do things as time moves on, is that I've been going out and performing at a lot of just private events where people just basically have me come in and play literally in their living rooms sometimes, and I just play acoustically, and it saved me during COVID. That was a big reason for doing it, because all the venues had closed, and I have a big rock band. Where am I supposed to go? There's no place to go. So I had to rethink that. But it's something I've continued to do since COVID. I play quite a few shows a year in that way. And then Ted had reached out, and then he was like, yeah, and I'm going to have everybody from like Mark and Brian's show and KLS. And I was like, no way, this is going to be the coolest thing. So that was such a gift. And it was so lovely to see you there too. CW, I missed you though, man.
You know, I tried to be there. I got mom issues, and I had to fly to Northern California and deal with her health situation. And so, yeah, I would love to. In fact, I was trying to get up there tomorrow night to see you, and I just can't do that. So, unfortunately, but I'm sure you'll be back around in this area, and I would love to just, chill and watch your show. It'd be amazing.
Yes.
The thing about the show too is that it's not only just songs that JR's written, but he does several cover tunes too. And there's something about a cover tune that everybody knows that just puts everybody in the mood. And, like, I don't want to, ruin anything that you have in your shows, but
oh, not at all.
Like you start singing "Take Me Home, Country Roads," and a lot of people don't realize that song has like had another rebirth because of video games and so forth. At baseball games, they're playing that. It's like West Virginia, what the hell? But it's just, paying attention to, what's going on in the world. And, you played some great U2 numbers as well. And when you do these, how do people get in touch with you and say, hey, JR, I've got this party coming up? Not a big party, but just a gathering. How do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, typically I do much of it through my email address initially. I'll just, I have 4,000 or 5,000 people on an email list, and I'll just throw it out there and say, hey, I'll be in, such and such part of the world. If anybody's interested in having me come sing in their, host me to have come sing in their house. And usually I'm able to fill it that way. Sometimes things will change, or I'll have to do something. And so I might throw it out on social media. And so people will just, direct message me through Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And that's how I fill the shows up. Luckily, it hasn't been a huge struggle to fill those kind of shows up. And I think I've done about 180 of them since summer of 2021.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's really cool. I didn't realize that. So you'll just say, I'm going to be in the Philippines or something, and like whoever wants to jump on the bandwagon, let me know. Yeah.
I might throw a few dates out and say I have X days open, and if anybody's interested, just DM me and we'll work it out. It really is as simple as that. And it's a huge lightsaber. I don't know, Star Wars all of a sudden. It's a huge lightsaber. Huge fan of the lightsaber though as well. But in this case, it was a lifesaver. The person who turned me on to this too, actually, was the singer from the Verve Pipe, Brian Vander Ark.
Oh, okay.
Just because he and I chat occasionally, and we were talking about, during COVID, like we Skyped each other one time just because I'm in the UK and he's in Michigan or something like that, and it was that whole like, dude, what are you doing? How are you surviving? I mean, we're a bunch of artists, and there's no recording studios and no venues open. He was kind of chuckled and said, hey, well, I've been playing in people's living rooms. And I remember thinking, I was like, yeah, right. He's like, no, seriously, man, I've been doing it since 2010. And it was something I didn't really want to do. But when I did one show, it was one of the coolest things I've ever done. And I've been doing it ever since. So I decided to give it a go.
So have you ever had any weird experiences, or, or maybe it's ones you don't want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. And I get asked that a lot.
It's a bachelorette party, and all of a sudden you're supposed to do a little more than play.
I know, right? I'm like, wait a minute. Why do you want me to wear this policeman's uniform? I've had a few that have been a little on the weird side, but typically it's always been innocently weird, if that makes sense. Yeah. It's nothing too sordid. Because I typically try to vet the person as much as I can. A lot of these people that I'm playing at their houses, I've known, because of social media and from playing so many shows. I've met once or twice, or see them. So I realize they're real people. I'm not going to get kidnapped.
God.
But nothing too crazy at all.
CW mentioned the Philippines, and that was something I wasn't really aware of until seeing you at TED. You were talking about how that's just such a big market. And I thought, Journey found their lead singer, Steve Augeri, over there. So tell us about the Philippines and what that means for certain artists. Yeah,
I think that, we were fortunate enough as Dishwalla to be able to go and perform in a lot of markets all over the world. So that already kind of puts you in people's experience right away. And then in addition to that, we were lucky enough to get songs on, movies like American Pie, or in TV shows like Smallville or How I Met Your Mother or One Tree Hill, all these different TV shows that are, for some people, their favorite show they've ever seen. And you've got these songs in there and they connect with those. So, it's strangely enough, there were places that some places we've never even toured that we were big in because of these movies or TV shows. The Philippines being one of those places. So, and that culture is such a hugely musical culture that they love going to shows. Everybody sings. Almost everybody's in a band, or plays an instrument. So it's a great market for someone like me to be able to go and play at. It's funny enough, you mentioned the singer from Journey, that Arnel Pineda. He is a huge Dishwalla fan. So he and I connected over, right, crazy, huh? Yeah. He and I connected over the last, 7 or 8 years. So when I go this time, I'm playing in Manila. He's going to come and sing Angels or Devils with me, one of our songs, and join me out on stage. So how cool is that?
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. I have a long question for you, and it's regarding your musical writing. I know that your dad and your grandfather also wrote music, I believe. And a lot of your music is very emotional. And I'm wondering if you got the emotional writing from your dad and from your grandfather, because I know as I was raised, it was a very non-emotional male thing, is not to show or, expose your emotions. And wondering how they affected what you learned in writing.
Huge effect. Good question. Huge effect. I mean, my grandfather was part of a songwriting team, and he did the lyrics, and that's kind of how you did things back in the day, 40s and 50s. It was, everybody had their job. You were an arranger, or you were a producer, or you were a lyricist, or you were a melody man or woman. And so talking to him about music, he's a huge appreciator, but he definitely came from that same era of you don't really talk about emotions, really. My father, however, was really good at kind of communicating how music and emotion are really interconnected. And that's why us as human beings, music ends up being one of the most important things. Whatever genre of music you like, I mean, that's really something that we all have in common, is this love for songs. And then growing up and listening, starting with the Beatles and the Stones and all those things, him just saying, all right, this is music 101, and this is why this is a great song. This is, conversations about why this bridge or this verse, really connects and works well within this song. And I'm 4 or 5 years old and we're having this conversation, but that's
pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, right. I mean,
if you're picking up on things.
Well, slowly but surely. Yeah. I mean, I started writing songs when I was 9. So he got me indoctrinated into the whole idea of songwriting early on.
Now, was your dad the principal of your high school?
He was, yes.
No pressure.
Yeah, right. Well, he was also a math teacher too. I mean, he went to Stanford, and was studying mathematics. So, a very, very bright guy. But he also, I think, he very much fancied himself being a rock star. That's what he did on his off time, was sit with a guitar or piano and sing. He had an incredible voice, man. He could just belt it out like nobody's business. And I think that's what he really wanted to do. So he was also a huge supporter of whatever I wanted to do musically, unlike a lot of parents who are like, okay, you need to go to college and get a real job before you try to do this music thing. But he was always very supportive. And he was also a teacher and an administrator at where I went to high school. So, yeah.
That's pretty cool. Especially since he sounds like a really cool dad.
Oh, he was awesome. He was, good soul.
You're working on new material, and we've been fortunate to hear a couple of the songs. And I'll name 2 of them: My Darkest Hour and Lost Ever Since.
Yes.
There's a place where creative people go for that pain, because you can't keep that pain inside. You have to let it out. And both of those songs come from a place that's very deep, but beautiful. Lost Ever Since. That song I'm a person that just loves music and lyrics and stuff like that. It's like, oh, great song, great song. But that song I could hear in a movie.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's one of the best I think you've ever written. It has a hook and the
Rita, thank you.
Oh, man,
a lot.
No, maybe it's where I'm at or whatever, but that music just, it really touched me. And that, that's what you want to do as an artist.
Yeah.
And feel free to talk about the new stuff and where that came from and how you recorded it and when it's going to be out and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So this will be my 10th album I've ever recorded, which is, that shows how long I've been around doing this. My 5th solo album. And yeah, it's something I've been working on. I started right at the beginning of 2020, I guess. So it's been a long journey to get it finished. It's all done and it's just getting mastered right now. So it should be out here in the next month or so. But yeah, it took a long time to get it done. I went through a lot to get from there to here. So and like you said, it's music for me is always been my way of communicating everything. So, and getting through life basically. So, a lot of struggling, obviously everybody was going through COVID and those kind of things. And, for a musician, that was tough because we were, trying to figure out how to keep the lights on, those kind of things. And then in the middle of that, and all these dates I had to go and record and do all of these things, that all got canceled. So it was like, gosh, how am I going to do this? So probably half of the record is I'm playing everything. Yeah. I had no choice. So, not that I don't enjoy playing just about every instrument that I can get my hands on. I think that there's something to be said about playing with other humans. So, I was hoping that things would change. And as they did, I was able to incorporate more of the band that I play with or other musician friends. And then in the middle, but most importantly, in the middle of that, my wife, Min, went through a cancer scare. She got COVID really bad and ended up getting some really rare condition where she could have a stroke and die in any moment.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was brutal. And so there were a couple times there where I thought I was going to lose her. And because it was during COVID too, I wouldn't be able to be in the hospital with her. And she and I we have 4 boys together and one of them's highly special needs too. So I need to be home taking care of him. And she's sadly just kind of stuck on her own. And it was a very dire time. And in the middle of this, I'm trying to write a record and get this done. And so much of that really showed up in the middle of that. So, Lost Ever Since, My Darkest Hour, specifically that song lyrically is really kind of that moment of, I wrote a lot of that in the parking lot of the hospital.
Oh, wow.
After being told that I have to leave.
That is so intense.
And I don't know if I'm going to see her alive again. And, that was a heavy duty moment. Fortunately, she's fine. We got through all of that and life has moved on. But, I would have completely been overwhelmed and crushed if I didn't have the ability to go write a song about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
wow.
That music comes from and you can tell it's so deep. But I'm glad you mentioned that you played all the instruments because some of those guitarists on there, great. It's just great.
Awesome.
I really, really love those 2 songs. And I know that you had more, but it was just like, all right, that's all I can take right now. It's like, it's embedded in me. I need to live with it. And yeah, but it's just beautiful. And I freaking love it.
Is the album still called Safe and Sound?
No.
All right. Hold on. I'm going to cross that off my list. Okay.
Yeah, well, that has kind of changed because my wife is an artist. She's a sculptor more than anything, but she does quite a few different mediums. But she's painted something recently that I absolutely love, but it means changing the title to the record, which I actually think is more apropos for the whole experience of creating it. So I just have to 100% verify that she's okay with that. And then, yeah.
So you can't tell us the name yet?
Okay. So I think the name of the album is going to be called My Darkest Hour.
Beautiful.
I know it's a bit dark. And
I'm wondering how dark this painting is going to be now. It's like witches and goblins and hangings and.
It's actually beautiful. I'll go ahead and tell you. Okay. All right. So I'll tell you. So, but she had painted this incredible airbrushed painting of a woman's eye, and we were talking about it. It's just stunning what she did, and has a reflection in it in the eye. And there's a tear coming out of the eye, and there's a reflection, and in the window of whatever she's looking at behind me, you can see my silhouette.
Wow.
In the reflection of the eye. And it's the whole idea being that it's that moment where I'm seeing her for maybe the last time. Get me here. So I'm seeing her for the last time, and I, so when you're looking at this picture, I can see the reflection of myself in her eye as a tear is just about to fall. So it's like, anyway. So
is that how you took the painting, or is that how she presented it to you?
Well, she was in the middle of it, and that's kind of how I took it. And that's kind of she was like, well, that's where I was at anyway. So she just kind of pushed it through to that idea of it. So yeah, it's just one of those things that just found its way. And I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta change the name of the album. And this has to be the cover, because this is just glorious.
That's
you better
beautiful.
write material that's as good as this painting, boy.
Yeah, exactly. And because so many, I've had, Michael Goddard, who's a very famous artist. He's painted a couple of Dishwalla's albums. He even did my first solo album, and he's junior. And there's something really special about having that kind of connection, because as you guys, we're all in the same group about cover art and album cover art, especially, and how impactful and how amazing some of the, you go to some of the iconic records and it's, you just see that image for a moment, immediately what it is. You can hear all the music, and it's such an important thing, I think. And a lot of albums these days, even some of the albums I think that we've created ourselves, kind of didn't necessarily take full advantage of connecting what the music is about with an image. And I think it's just, I love how important that can be to the whole experience.
Were your album covers as Dishwalla, were those your choices?
Most of the time. I mean, I think, that's the thing about being in a band is often it's a very diplomatic thing. And we're making choices about songwriting and songs and titles and album covers and what somebody's wearing at a photo shoot. And we don't always necessarily see, we don't necessarily agree all the time. I think that everything that we've ever done, I've been happy enough with. But sometimes I felt like I was on the sidelines, and just kind of choices are being made. But
it wasn't the record company dictating, like, this is what we want. Or was it? No, it wasn't. That was one of the reasons we signed to A&M Records when they existed back in the day, because they were really wonderful about that. And even though they weren't giving us, the same kind of massive personal advance like some of these other, because we had our own little bidding war going on. Some of the other labels were offering more, the ability to be more autonomous about what we wanted to do. And just like, look, we believe in you. We love what we hear. We don't want to mess that up. So we're, unless we feel like you're making some huge mistake, we're really going to kind of let you do your thing creatively.
It's weird. I'm seeing an aura around you.
I love that. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, no, it's great. Great.
Love that.
Wow. We have so many things we want to talk about, and
go for it, Reeds.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I could go deep. I could just go like casual.
Just go, man.
Well, I feel like going fun now, because I think we've touched, and we always need to remember the levity.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You got to learn how to laugh, man, especially during COVID. And you're probably one of the first artists that I've spoken to that admits what a fucking mess that whole time was. It just
it was a train wreck. It was a train wreck for us.
Yeah.
My whole experience was this release.
Yeah, it was for many of us too. What was the first concert you went to?
First concert I went to was B-52s.
Love Shack, baby.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
So this was back in Rock Lobster days, because it would have been, I would have snuck into it. It would have been at the County Bowl here in Santa Barbara.
Oh, yeah.
But I grew up in that whole surf culture thing. So, a lot of punk, a lot of that kind of punkish kind of new wave thing was super cool. Yeah, I mean, the first paid concert I ever went to would have been Rush.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
First paid.
So you snuck into some others, I see.
Yeah,
One of my first was at UCSB, which was Fleetwood Mac and Kenny Loggins.
Oh, awesome.
In 77. Because I went to school in near your area, up in the San Ynez Valley, so...
Oh, man, I would love to have seen Fleetwood Mac play live, especially.
What is still on your bucket list to do?
Still on my bucket list to do. Gosh.
Although you're still young, you maybe have a few things.
Good question. Like just in general bucket list?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Just talking about you, JR, man. What do you want to do? Bucket list.
Well,
you want to go skydiving or?
Yeah, well,
Mars?
No thanks. maybe a few years back I would have been all over that, but I think I've used up most of my lives, so I might have one or two left, but I think I've used probably 7 or 8. But I think one cool thing that I'm doing later this year, I'm playing down in South America, and the last show I'm playing is in Lima, Peru. And my wife Min is coming out. And it's her birthday. She's turning 60, which is pretty cool. And so we're going down to Machu Picchu down in Cusco.
Wonderful. Oh my God.
You're going to hike the whole thing?
That's the plan. That is the plan.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Really, very cool. Who would you want to meet you've never met?
I would love to meet Bono, I have to say.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, I mean, he and I both singers in rock bands. We both came from like an opera singer background.
And
yet you're wearing the Edge's hat.
I have more hair than the Edge does.
That's true.
You have a really close relationship with your fans. What's one thing that you would like to say to all of them that, maybe you don't get a chance to talk to them after every show and stuff, just as a blanket kind of thing?
Well, I mean, honestly, the number one thing that I do try to tell to people is how grateful I am that they actually listen to music that I write. Some of them for a really long time. I mean, since the early 90s and are still there and like really engaged. And because without that kind of engagement and appreciation for the things that I've created, God knows where I would be. I'm acutely aware that I am kind of good at one thing. so it's, luckily I've been able to continue to do that to make a living, because I don't know how I would, get on without being able to do that as a job, and they also make it not feel like a job too. So I'm trying to tell people, all of those people, how grateful I am that they have been there for me in that way, and it means everything.
Is the first album, Life Talking, is that album available?
No. That was kind of Dishwalla, a version of Dishwalla before Dishwalla. It was a bit more, like techno with really heavy guitars thing, and it was just a phase that we went through. We kind of evolved from that. We were called Dish for a while. And then we became Dishwalla, but I think in that transition with names, we became more of a traditional rock band, and kind of took a lot of the synthy stuff out, and just became a little more organic. That's kind of ended where we landed and felt this was a better place for us as a group of people making music.
Who were some of the first rock stars you ever met?
Oh gosh, first rock stars I've ever met. Well,
while sneaking into concerts.
You know, no, sadly, I never got a chance to meet any of those folks. You know, I was too busy running from the security probably, but I think I didn't really start meeting rock stars until I kind of was one, technically, you know, where you start, because then you start showing up at radio shows and festivals, and I mean, you guys have had your share clearly, so. And so it was the same thing for me, and a lot of them ended up being kind of contemporaries. So most of them were in the same genres of music, and you know, whether it was Soundgarden or the Goo Goo Dolls or Tonic or whatever, it was a lot of those bands. Sheryl Crow quite a bit, Melissa Etheridge we toured with all through Europe and Scandinavia, and so, when you actually have a chance to actually hang out with some of those people and get to know them as people, that's pretty special stuff. But I ended up meeting a lot of people I never would have probably gone and, searched out. And, but I was fortunate enough to, made some friends along the way, met some incredibly cool people. Met some people that I love their music, but didn't like so much also too,
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a bit of that there too.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to ask people. I mean, on the surface, you look like a guy. I mean, you're I don't want you to be out bashful, but you're extremely handsome, and you have that great look. You're very talented. You grew up in Santa Barbara. A lot of people would say, "Oh my God, this guy's just had the life." But I'm sure that you have life lessons. And I know that you have learned life lessons. What would you say to your younger self when you were starting out?
I would say to myself, trust your own gut more. Don't let people around you convince you of things that deep down are not the way forward. I just think, be more confident in how you feel and what you see around you. Because I think that, being young and being dropped into a big industry with a lot of very powerful people, a lot of money, it's very political, as you guys know. And, because I know from my own experience, for example, like going into radio stations, how many radio stations I've walked into and how much BS you get thrown your way in that environment, how much BS you get thrown your way at labels and everything. You guys were one of the few radio stations that you'd walk in and you're like, I actually think they sincerely like us. and I sincerely like them. Like,
that's good.
But hey, sadly, especially with being such a big, powerful radio station like KLS, it's, you don't get that, especially those really big stations. I mean, some of the conversations I've had with people are just crazy. But then often you do get talked into doing things that maybe you shouldn't, or hanging out with people that are just not, I don't feel like I can really trust what this person says or what they want to do.
What's their motive behind whatever it is? Exactly. And I think, and from a creative perspective too, I mean, I one of the coolest songs that as a band we ever wrote was a song called Moisture. It was on our first album. And I remember talking to this huge producer at the time, and he was looking at maybe working on the record. And we're going through all the songs, and we're in our rehearsal, and we're rocking out, and then I go to lunch with him, and he, for whatever reason, wanted to sit in a car with me just by myself, so he could have a conversation with me one-on-one. And we're driving through LA, and he just says, "Hey, man, just so you know," this is before we were just about to be signed, but he said, "Just so you know, nobody's ever going to sign you if you have a song that changes tempos in the middle of the song. Nobody's going to touch that. It's never going to be on radio. Nobody's going to ever want that, or it's just confusing." And I remember sitting with this guy who I was so nervous sitting next to, because he was so popular and successful. And I'm having this conversation, and I'm like, "Fuck you, dude. Are you kidding me?" I was so put off. Like, I knew 100% he is absolutely wrong. Did you say that, or you just thought it?
No, I just said, okay, fair enough. I just said, right, okay, I get what I totally get what you're saying. I was being very diplomatic about it, right? I never said,
you don't want to burn bridges when you're starting out, man.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it was just one of those weird things where I felt like such a young, like he really made me feel like I had no idea what I was doing. And
But
it just
you-
made me that much more determined in that moment to just think like, hey, no. You know, these people can be this successful and powerful, but they can also be wrong.
And that's so hard at being like a novice at the beginning of this recording signing experience, and that these people come on and give their opinion, but it's just kind of like you say, it's just kind of bullshit. And it's like, you know what? You're there, you have your songs, you want to express them your way, and they're like, no, it's all about making the hits and getting airplay and getting money, and already there's that conflict of what you guys want and what everybody else wants, what the record company wants.
Exactly. And I think that so to answer your question, Rita, I think one of the most important things I can say, especially to an artist, is to stick to your own guns. Know that whatever you feel the most sincere about is always going to translate in a better way than anything anybody tells you should be doing. If you don't feel like you honestly can do that as well as you can do something else, then you shouldn't be doing it. And the best songs are only going to be written by the ones that you feel like you've been the most honest about. And yes, it may not fit in that niche for that moment, but you're doing yourself a disservice by not following your own kind of true path and just sticking to it, And I mean, that kind of follows through with life, right? It's anybody who's truly sincere and kind about whatever they're doing is always going to land in a better place than somebody who feels like they should do something in order to make the people around them happy. That's not going to be the best way to go in the long run,
It's a business, man. I could ask a radio question there, but I don't think I'm gonna.
Go for it.
Okay, well, let me ask.
Yes.
Counting Blues Cars had tremendous success. Rock Song of the Year. You had some ASCAP awards on that also.
Yeah, Billboard Rock. Yeah, Billboard Award, Rock Song of the Year. Yep.
And things were going really, really, really good. But the record company, I think, held back a little bit on you. But then when that song came out, it was like, okay, this is it. So the record company is already holding the record back. Now, the political climate and the musical climate at that time was a little bit different because, you had Gin Blossoms and stuff like that. That was, getting great airplay, bands like yours. And most of them were always, you needed K-Rock. And I don't think K-Rock really embraced that song. And I don't know if it was because of a jealousy that they saw what they didn't, it was almost like a KLOS band, and it should have been an everybody band. And I don't know if you got caught up in that.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those songs that could show up on a lot of different formats and do well if you ask the listeners. But for whatever reason, a lot of different station people either really got it or didn't. It was very much a polarizing song. The people at K-Rock, it was. I mean, they ended up playing it a billion times a week eventually, but it was out of pure. Just they had to acquiesce to the fact and just realize like, okay, the song's going to get the people want to hear the song. We have to play it. But it was very begrudging. Rita, I have a story for you too with that as well. So. And I remember it was one of those, like a couple of guys in the band, it was all about, we want to get the cool modern rock station to play us. And for whatever reason, they're humming and hawing about it. Right. And, so I thought, well, I'm at my manager's house. I'm in LA. So I'll call, K-Rock and I will, request it. Right? They don't know me from Adam. So I'm like, so I call up and I'm in a hello, K-Rock, request line. I'm like, can you play that song by Dishwalla called Counting Blue Cars? And the girl goes, I don't understand why people keep asking me to play this. This is like the worst song ever. This is what you told me.
Oh my God.
And she didn't know idea she was talking to the guy who wrote the song. I'm like, okay.
Oh,
how horrible.
I didn't. I was actually so surprised by this conversation, and I just said to her, I'm like, hey, I get it, but I like it, and if you don't mind, it'd be great if you could play it. and she just hung up on me. So,
wow.
So yeah, I mean, if she's listening to this podcast, I don't know who she was, but yeah, just so you know, that was actually me. This is the guy who wrote it. So.
And you heard his feelings.
And she's fired and working in Tulsa now, or Needles, Arizona radio station, just because of that incident.
Yeah. Well, that didn't do much for my, my ego.
But then you could turn on KLOS and hear it like a lot.
All the time.
Yeah.
I have one more question regarding that song. When you referenced God as she, which I think is a beautiful thing to do. I'm not a big religious. I'm more spiritual, but not religious. Why was that written that way? And did you ever get shit for it? Okay, let me rephrase it. How much shit did you get for it?
Yeah, exactly. I definitely got shit for it. Well, in hindsight, I wrote that song quicker than most songs that I write, especially from a lyrical standpoint. I kind of knocked it out. And the idea was this, young kid's kind of spiritual journey. I think that at the time I wrote it, I had recognized the fact that children are very pure in the way that they see things, right? And the reason being is no adult has come in and explained to them, this is how you have to see something, right? And nobody's explained to them that apparently there are a bunch of rules, right? And if you refer to God, it has to be with, a Christian God. It has to be with a male gender and not a female gender. Why, I don't know. It's supposed to be this omnipotent being that's everything, right? So why is it somehow a dude?
Should be trans, right? Probably.
Yeah, but, I mean, who knows? Yeah, right. I mean, and no offense to anyone. That's just how we refer to those things. And so I just thought it's kind of cool. So in this child's spiritual journey of trying to find God and God must be across town, because so I'm going to make this journey from one side of town to the other so I can ask some questions about, why am I here? And, what's the reason for existing? It was a fleeting moment. Let's just change the gender on that and we'll make God a female. And that was it. I didn't think much of it after that. I don't think anybody in my band was really listening to the gender that I was singing. And because I have guys that are, that are a little more conservative and a little more liberal than others. And for whatever reason, they never said anything to me about it. And I never really thought that much about it. And then it ended up becoming a single, and then ended up becoming a hit single. And all of a sudden now it's become an issue because now people are listening and saying, hey, why have you done that? So, I mean, it got to a point where I was getting death threats for a bit. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. And, people would somehow find my phone number and I decided to change my phone number all the time. I finally just got rid of my phone.
Jeez.
We even would have people, picketing out front of some of our shows. But the weird thing, it was nothing. It might be one or two people, making a big deal out of it. The people who would show up our shows, there might be 3 or 4 people with picket signs, and then 2,000 people are walking into the venue. I mean, that's a bit unfair. I would tell people in the show, like, be nice to those folks out there with the signs. Okay, they're heavily outnumbered, and they're totally allowed to feel whatever they think. Be kind to them, please. But yeah, so it definitely got, I think it culminated with this. There was a woman in Florida who was a big fan, and this is, back when we had a, fan club, and we even had a P.O. box where you could send letters, right? And, we had, it was just starting with the internet, so there was a way to connect to us that way. But, so this woman would send letters about how she loved the band and loved that song specifically. But then it kind of started to grow dark over time. You just started to see this evolution through these letters. And then it turned into, she started sending me pictures of her 9mm handgun.
Jesus.
And then she sent a letter that was like, this is the gun that's going to take you out when you come to Florida. And so I was thinking to myself, okay, this has gone a bit dark. So we handed that off to the management, which ended up going to the FBI, I think. So that was the last you ever heard from her. But yeah, so there were some moments that were a little crazy.
Wow.
And that her issue was the gender thing.
Wow, that's amazing.
Well, and we're still dealing with the gender thing today.
I know. Who knew, right?
It's only gotten worse. Oh, God.
Florduh. Florida. I forgot the R in there.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, it's interesting to see how a song can, and I think perhaps that's something that maybe added to its success was having something that would be, in my world, not controversial, but somehow controversial.
You heathen.
I know.
Oh my
Angels
God.
and devils. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Hey, JR, this has been just so wonderful. I told CW ahead of time, I go, I didn't write out questions. I don't know how it's going to go. I'm just going to do it from the heart. And, it felt good on my end. So CW,
works.
your part as well. JR, always amazing. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh my
Appreciate
gosh. You guys, I'm so honored. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And it's wonderful to see you both as well, too. So
Thank
bonus.
you. And
you don't remember him.
it's okay. He
Because
doesn't
he was
have
always
to.
running around doing this, doing that. And so I was going to call this show, well, that's CWJR. So you got to call me RW.
RW.
That's right.
Right,
I like
never
it.
mind.
I
You
like
call
it.
me-
Hopefully we'll catch you on the next time you're out here playing, because I really would love to just catch up and see your show. Because
Yes.
I remember the Dishwalla shows were amazing, and it's been a while. So yeah, good luck with it. Good luck with the album, which is again titled.
My Darkest Hour.
Thank you, because I got it written down wrong, so I forgot.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
It's good to check.
Yeah, it should be out in a couple months. And the songs that Rita and I have heard are amazing and so good. And that's only 2 out of, I don't know how many are on there, but probably 8 or 10 songs. So yeah, look forward to it. So thanks.
Blessings. Continue to be who you are and entertain us.
Thank you guys so much.
All right.
See you soon.
Love you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, JR.
Take care.
All right. So, I feel like JR is, when we talked to him, he just felt like a best friend, just like really down to earth, cool guy. Like I could just sit there. We could have chatted for weeks.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And we talked about the party that you missed at Ted's, but it was just so wonderful to be around so many people, some that I knew, some that I didn't know, listening to this music, and it just made it so warm and so comfortable. So it's definitely something to think about if you're looking forward to, like maybe a summertime concert, or, like maybe book something for next year or something like that. But hopefully this new album, does something, because there's some songs on there that just sound absolutely fantastic. And I'm really happy and excited for them.
Yeah. And I love not that it happened, but what the lyrics were about.
Yeah, exactly.
And just the really amazing storytelling that he did. And I'm sorry for some of his situations, but you know what? I guess things happen for a reason, and he got some great songs out of it. So check out the new album, JR's album, My Darkest Hour. Should be released in the next couple of months. I think originally it was June, but he may still be working on it.
But the important thing to do is just follow JR on social media. On Facebook, JR Richards Dish, JR Richards, and then simply the word Dish, D-I-S after that. And Instagram, j.r.richards. His new album, My Darkest Hour, about to be released, like CW mentioned. You can pre-order it via his website, jrrichardsmusic.com.
And if you want JR to perform a show in your backyard or your living room, you can contact him via Facebook, Instagram, or his website. He's really good about getting back to you. And we wanted to let you know that we had JR's previous manager, Leo Rossi, on our podcast twice. And look for those episodes with Leo, who talks about his life as a roadie. Those episodes can be found in our archives.
Please support the podcast by subscribing wherever you can, writing a review, follow and comment on Instagram and Facebook, sharing our posts with your friends. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And check out our show notes, rockandrollconfessional.rocks. You can find links about some of today's subjects, including links to order JR's new album, My Darkest Hour, and also links for many videos of JR's solo work and also Dishwalla work. So, y'all,
Adios.
thank you all for listening. Appreciate it so much, so much. Thank you, and we'll see you real soon.
Have a blessed day.
Bye.